want to be the Lady Gaga of the jewelry industry.
Pretty Zinta wore your necklace.
Yes, she did. We were dressing celebrities for the red carpet.
Do you really think that stones have astrological powers to change your life?
I don't believe in wearing a stone to change my life.
And was this something that you always wanted to do?
I was debating between shoe designing and gemstones.
One of your design is called Dancing Fish Necklace. It's really dramatic.
A lot of my pieces are inspired from traveling.
Pavit, it's very disheartening to see someone else redoing your piece that badly.
So honestly, it doesn't bother me anymore. Someone is copying your designs means they're aspiring to have your piece.
You are tuned into Jewellery Pod, where we explore finest in design and business. Today we are thrilled to have Pavit Gujral from Pavit Gujral Designs, who is best known for amazing designs and redefining luxury. Welcome Pavit on
Thank
Jewellery
you so
Pod.
much.
It's fun to talk about designs today with you because saying that your designs are nature inspired is an underestimation. What I feel that you go extra length when you make your designs. We'll talk about it, but we would love to know about your earlier days in design.
I think since I was a kid, I've always been a very creative person. I still remember my mom was taking out my school report cards, and my first ever report card from nursery, the teacher had mentioned about my creativity and me being artistic and, having a knack for like color combinations and stuff. Initially, like when I was in school, I think I wanted to go into fashion, but not necessarily a fashion designer, but more into like fashion marketing or something. So always I was clear that I want to go into that field and not healthcare, what my family was into. And I hail from a business family. I always knew I want to have my own business. I don't want to get into a job. So after school, I went on to do economics for my undergraduation in England because, that's for any business that I want to start. And then that's when I decided what I want to do. So I was actually debating between shoe designing and gemstones. Shoes also because I love shoes and I have very big feet. So I don't get my size. Let me just, design my own shoes and stuff. I think my love for gemstones is way more. So I went on to do my gemology in New York. Gemology and jewelry designing. This was in 2015. And yeah, ever since then I've been designing jewelry and every piece is inspired, every piece has a story. So whether it's from my travel, whether it's nature inspired or architecture, anything. All the pieces, like I said, are inspired. They all have a lot of emotional value. I think I mentioned about one of my pieces which was made with my grandmother's stones, my dadi's stones, so that is special. Me, my brother and my dad, we all are scuba divers. This entire line inspired from the marine world and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a bit of my story.
Going back to your earlier days, so your family is in healthcare, you chose a career in design. Did you had a formal education of design?
I did. As I mentioned, after my undergrad in economics, I went to New York at the Gemological Institute of America. It's the most renowned institute for, their headquarters is in California, and the New York one I think was more industry based, so I chose that. So I did my gemology and jewelry design course there.
And so this nature thing was always your thing, as you tell you went to your scuba diving.
I'm a very compassionate person and I've always had very deep love for animals and nature, animals especially. So yeah, I think there's so much inspiration in nature, and I think it also helps in promoting sustainability, where you are kind of promoting nature and animals. There's so many colors, there are different shapes that are combined in nature, which all, come together in jewelry, so why not?
And was this something that you always wanted to do? I understand having a slightest idea in your earlier days, how you came to this conclusion that you have to design.
Like I mentioned, I was always artistically inclined and I was debating between shoe designing and gemstones, and I saw which could have a better business opportunity, which is gemstones, and I love gemstones, I love colors. Each gemstone has different chemical properties, different inclusions, so it was all very interesting and I really wanted to study all that.
But wasn't there any pressure from the family, you to be in healthcare or choose other careers?
Not at all. Dad started his own business. He always gave us the freedom. There was given the option to either join the family business or if he wants to do something of his own, then he could do that as well. And even dad is really into art and history and traveling, so yeah, we always had the freedom and his backing to do whatever we want.
And about your business journey, you scaled from India all the way to Dubai, and you're in and out countries, you traveling Paris, you doing shows across the world. How Dubai is serving you as a platform?
So actually, it was always the plan to take my brand international because the kind of jewelry I do, I consider my jewelry to be more of art rather than jewelry. And last few years, I've been building up my collection, applying for awards because I think you need a brand name to come to a market like Dubai. And I think Dubai is a place where you have people from all over the world, from all walks of life, all financial backgrounds and everything. And it's the best place to be for that exposure that I think my jewelry deserves. For me, it's also like a stepping stone to reach Europe, which I really want to tap into the European market.
Tell us about the Cannes Festival. Pretty Zinta wore your necklace.
Yes, she did. It wasn't planned. We had gone to Cannes Film Festival and we had like our PR team and everything. We were dressing celebrities for the red carpet. And then a PR guy one day just randomly calls. He's like, oh, there's this Indian celebrity coming. Do you want to dress her? She's supposed to be very famous. It was unexpected, but a lot of fun. Like, I think initially when I first saw her in a room where she was getting ready, I couldn't believe, like, it also felt very normal. And I think later I had to like sit and think and I was like, oh my God. It was very friendly conversation.
And how was the collaboration with Mahira Khan?
Amazing. I love watching Pakistani serials. This actually happened through a friend, Savan Gandhi, and one of our family friends. They are close to each other. So Savan Gandhi was coming to Dubai to shoot with Mahira Khan and they needed someone for the jewelry. So that's when my friend suggested that, I have a friend who does high jewelry and she's in Dubai already. So why don't you speak to her? If you both like each other stuff and it goes well together, why not?
You have one particular design which is closest to your heart, and you told me off the camera that it's made out of stones from her jewelry. And how it looks like now.
So basically it was a bracelet with star diopside. They're like oval shaped black colored stones. So she had given that bracelet to my mom. So I used those black stones to make a really nice choker. So it's called the Black Forest collection. It has a choker, it has earrings and a ring. And to give it that Victorian look, we have black rhodium plating on it and garnets. So yeah, that's a very special piece, and I think jewelry that comes from our grandparents is very sentimental. Even my nani, that's my mom's mom, she has a lot of jewelry from Burma. So my Nanaji, my granddad, was in Burma, so she got a lot of jewelry from there. The current piece that I'm working on, like, can you imagine at that time she had like a beautiful emerald ring, the kind of emerald that we look for now, like very green, transparent, the leafy green like Colombian emeralds are. So it's that good quality. A lot of Nani's pieces. Then she has blue star sapphires, which are like really nice. So those are some of the pieces which I'm working with now, and to come up with like newer pieces. One collection that I do have is the Memoir collection, which also includes revamping old jewelry.
Pavit, I was browsing your profile, and during the Cannes Festival, I stumbled upon one of your designs. It's called Dancing Fish Necklace. It's really dramatic. Can you tell us about more?
So the Dancing Fish is again from my marine collection, and it's inspired from the betta fish. So the way the betta fish has its fin, it's known to create a dance, and that's where the name comes from. This piece has a gradation of over 4,000 gemstones, and each and every stone has been set by hand at the factory in Jaipur. Even to source the stones in a perfect gradation from rubies to pink sapphires to diamonds is not easy. So I think this piece took over 6 months to complete. And then the piece has a nice tanzanite blue color to represent the ocean.
And what all celebrities wore this necklace?
So at Cannes, Urvashi Rautela wore it. Apart from that, it's been a part of a lot of magazine shows. And not just that, it's also one of my award-winning pieces. It won the award of Best Necklace at one of the award shows in US.
Having said that, congratulations for your latest award in Singapore.
Thank you so much. It's the parrot earrings. It's a very big piece, but at the same time, it's a very light piece. So like,
you're making jewelry out of very rare stones. Would you like to talk about sourcing and what's the process of hunting the gems?
More than diamonds, I love gemstones, and that's another part of my brand where I really want to promote different and unique gemstones. Because generally, I feel people are only aware of rubies, emeralds, sapphires when it comes to colored stones, but there are so many more colored stones which are more valuable, maybe equally valuable. And when it comes to sourcing, I keep traveling. Like this weekend, I'm traveling to Hong Kong. There's a big trade show there to buy gemstones. In May, I was in Geneva. So yeah, I keep traveling to source my gemstones.
You source the stones first and then you plan it out?
So I work both ways. Like I said, a lot of my pieces are inspired. So like if I'm traveling, whenever a story comes to my mind, I'll do a sketch and I'll source the stones accordingly. But a lot of times if I fall in love with the gemstone, I'll pick up and design something around it.
Have you came across to a disheartening point that it's not coming out how you imagined it to be?
The most difficult pieces are where you need to get the anatomy of the animal right. Because if you don't get it right, it literally looks like a distorted. For all of my pieces which have animals, whether it's langur earrings, it's the almaha, it's the mufasa, the beginning stage of the cat is always disheartening because it looks like something completely different.
And what are your expert points to improve those?
So as a person, I'm a perfectionist, and I think it has its plus points and its downside as well. I think more plus points because it helps me make the kind of jewelry I do. But I think a lot of times the factory has a hard time because of that. One thing I always tell them is that you need to, get the starting point right. Like you cannot build on something that's wrong and correct it later. Instead of fixing it later, fix it now and then build upon it. Luckily, the manufacturers that I have, their name is Gem Plaza. They're based in Jaipur. And I think in India, at least, they are the only ones who can bring my pieces to life.
What do you have to say about the commercial aspect of your designs?
In India, people see jewelry as an investment. I'm not disagreeing, okay? I feel like if you want to buy jewelry as an investment, rather go buy a bar of gold. Don't come to a designer and be like, I want to buy this. In the future, I might sell it. I'm like, please, you're never going to sell it. It rarely happens that you have to sell it. That's another thing where I want to educate my clients. I'm like, sometimes you need to start seeing jewelry as an art piece. When it comes to a retail sector or when you're into mass market production, it's okay. You can do that. But if you're coming to a designer, I feel then think of it as a artistic piece or not as just as an investment purpose. If someone asks me to give a break, I do not, as a policy, I don't like disclosing it. And it's not because of the pricing point of view, it's just because it doesn't justify it, because I'm like, that's not what my piece is. I'm selling my piece for the story. Being a gemologist, I only use top quality gemstones, all that is there. But when it comes to a breakup, I don't like disclosing it. Also for the purpose of plagiarism, because I feel if you start disclosing every bits and pieces, it's easier to plagiarize something. Prefer not doing.
At the peak in the market. What was your one of the experience of this thing, your piece? You found your piece being replicated by someone, or you took any action? How do you deal with all these?
It's a funny story actually. First time when this happened, I think it was about 5-6 years ago. It was in one of my pieces was a finalist at an award show in India. And I think few months later or a year later, one of my aunts, she sent me a picture. She's like, it looks like my ring, but not exactly. So I got very upset and stuff. And my dad is like, listen, you need to realize that if someone's copying your thing, that's a form of appreciation. That is something that I had to unlearn. Someone's copying your stuff, or if someone's plagiarizing, it's because they love your product so much that they're copying it. So that is something I had to unlearn instead of being bothered, because I feel you have no control over it. Today is the world of social media. Anyone can copy it. One thing I have to give to my manufacturer also, even if people try to copy it, I feel the end product is never the same. It's not going to match the quality. It's not going to match the manufacturing. So many times, you look at an outfit in a magazine, you go tell the tailor, just make the same thing for me. But it might look the same, but I'm sure the quality of the fabric won't be the same. I think you just have to let it be.
What do you think that in your niche, what are the latest trends, or it would be good to hop onto them early?
I really feel accessories are coming back. Brooches are coming back. Hair accessories are coming back. Shoe accessories are coming back. And a lot of men's jewelry. I think men are getting more fashion forward and into jewelry. Sometimes I notice that men are buying jewelry more from an artistic point of view rather than women. If a male client comes in, he will never ask what's the resale value of this. He's coming because he wants a piece of jewelry. So I think a lot of men's jewelry is coming back, and one thing I'm very happy about that is that big bold pieces are coming back. Last few years there was a fashion of small tiny and stacking style where you wear 3-4 small tiny pieces, but now and all my jewelry is very big and bold, so I'm glad that style is coming back now.
There's one particular phrase you would want to be known as
the jewelry pop star. Actually that inspiration comes from Lady Gaga. I've always loved Lady Gaga and how Lady Gaga was. So I want to be the Lady Gaga of the jewelry industry.
And what new we gonna see in near future?
So I am working on a collection which is inspired from this region, the Middle East region. So using the colors, the animals, topography. That's one thing I'm working on. I'm also expanding my collection.
What kind of feedback they give you, or what kind of customization requests you receive?
Yeah, a lot of men are now fond of their requests would be maybe of a ring. Now I think a lot have started wearing earrings also, but rings and brooches I think.
One particular requirement that made you go extra mile?
So for me, more challenging is if a client comes to me and is like, can you just make me a pair of studs but with your touch? Or can you just make me a small pendant but with your unique touch? For me, those are the more challenging pieces to do.
But you still do them, or you stick to your boldness?
No, I deliver what the client needs. But personally, if I feel if it's too much of an extreme, then what I usually do is I put them in touch with a dealer, because I personally feel like if I have no input in it, I don't even want to charge for it. Like it doesn't make sense. So I just then put them directly someone who can help them.
Pavit, we all grew up listening to the stories, and your theme is story and nostalgia. What other stories you're weaving for your new pieces?
So see, stories are not woven, right? It's actually, when I say stories, they're more of experiences. One of the pieces that I would mention is, like, for example, I have the Tuscany earrings. Those were inspired from my trip to, of course, Tuscany in 2018. So I've used this really nice bi-color tourmaline, which has the Tuscan colors, like brownish green. And then the earring has a nice pearl to depict the Tuscan sun. So you have different forms of diamonds over the pearl and like those droplets of the sun's rays. And in gold, actually in rose gold, we've actually tried to show the trees also that flank the roads in Tuscany. So just small experiences and stories so if you see in most of my pieces, I have unique color combinations. So that's where it comes from, I mean.
All while this journey, I understood that your family was supportive. You got ACE education in design and gemology. Was there any mentor?
Like I said, I come from a business family. So dad has always been a visionary that ways, and he could always foresee. He always wanted to work on something which was futuristic. Even when he started his business in Chandigarh, like he's born in Calcutta. In Chandigarh, he established the first MRI machine because there was no MRI machine. Then he established the first private hospital. And now our business is into nursing education. So, he always sees what's the need of the future and then work towards that way.
One learning of your father?
That you need to put in a lot of time and effort for your business to take off. So basically, he would always say that imagine a plane, like when the plane is on a runway, for the plane to take off, like firstly the plane is stationary. Then it starts going faster and faster and faster, and then eventually it takes off. And he'll always say, you are still on the runway. You have to keep putting in enough time and effort and everything, like your resources, for it to actually take off.
But also all these learnings are like lifelong, and they really make you feel that, there's more to do.
It also makes you realize that doing something once is not enough. Do it again, but do it better.
One thing that you unlearned over the time that maybe you realized what I was even doing in my life.
I think one biggest thing that I really had to unlearn and change and accept actually was to embrace change, or to like learn the fact that, discomfort is not something bad. Because I feel every time, like for growth, whether it's in life, whether it's in business or whatever, like whenever you grow, there will be change and it will be uncomfortable, but it's not a bad thing. Because it's very natural for you to feel that, okay, I'm feeling this is not good. But we don't realize that, after a week, after a month, maybe after a year, this discomfort will take you to the next level. Like since school, I've always been away from home and I'm very attached to my dogs. It wasn't easy moving.
Can I know, as a businesswoman, how do you plan your quarters? Or is it as per the shows, as per your collection launch?
I don't like following the trend. It's not that I don't like following the trend. It's more like I like to do my own thing. And like I said, that each piece has a story. So it's not like I'll design a collection around Valentine's Day or around Christmas. No, it's like as and when an inspiration comes to mind, I bring out a piece. The reason for that is also because these are like bespoke collectible pieces, right? It's not a mass market production, it's not a retail production. So no, I don't have season wise collection. And it won't even tell the same story. For example, if I take out 10 pieces inspired from Christmas, it doesn't have a story. Then it's like, okay, I picked up a festival and I'm just the whole meaning of my brand, where I say that it's a way of telling my stories and it's emotional, then that's gonna go away.
It's also very important for an independent designer to be mentally free and not bound by the timeline and deadlines. You have an aspiration to be in international shows and platforms. You do have to pre-plan all these things. Do you have like dates and then you start planning for the pieces?
I go to limited events, the events which I feel are top of the top, and where the events that might have the right audience, the right manufacturers, the right stone dealers. When it comes to that, you have like different audience in different countries, right? The point is that the audience is seeing it for the first time.
And do you have an aspiration to collab with more celebrities?
Lady Gaga. But my aspiration is not just Lady Gaga. My aspiration actually is that I want them to approach me genuinely, because if they genuinely like my piece, I don't want it to be like a monetary or a paid thing. Not because there's some contract with her.
How do you maintain this fine balance between commercial side of the business and the design side of the business?
The thing is, the kind of business model I have, financial gains come much later. This is a stage for more recognition, brand building and all that. So you just have to be patient, and that in the long run, it's all gonna come back. So that is one thing, to look at the future, be a visionary and trust the process.
Talking about plagiarism, Pavit, it's very disheartening to see someone else redoing your piece that too badly. But what was your first reaction when you saw it?
So honestly, it doesn't bother me anymore. Initially, it really used to, but then every time if it does, I think about what Dad said, and then I'm like, good, let them copy. You know, if someone is copying your designs, means they're aspiring to have your piece, and that's why they're copying it. So plagiarism, in a way, is a compliment.
Pavit, going back to your gemology days, what all colors are your prominent, like you look forward to create with those color combination or color stones?
In terms of colors, I like any gemstone which is phenomenal. So in terms of gemology, a phenomenal stone is which has some form of a chemical property which makes it show certain features. For example, a color change sapphire, or like alexandrite is, it changes color. That's a phenomena. I love paraiba. I love anything that's bright and unique. I love orange and red. But again, in red, I would go for garnets. And I prefer transparent stones to opaque stones.
What was your eureka moment during your course?
The hummingbird necklace that I have, it was my final class project. That sketch coming to life, and that was the first piece I ever manufactured. So it is a eureka moment from my course because I just made a sketch as an assignment, and that was the first piece I ever manufactured and held in my hand.
Do you really think that stones have astrological powers, or they actually have powers to change your life?
I wouldn't say astrological, but I would say stones have energy. And the scientific proof behind that is that when, stones are formed under the surface of the earth where there's a lot of heat and pressure. So that's kind of energy the stones are actually carrying. Now, how it's used in astrology and what one needs to believe in, I personally don't believe in it. I mean, I don't believe in wearing a stone to change certain aspects of my life, because then I feel there's no end to it. If you could fix your life with that, then what are we even doing? But no disrespect to people who believe, like for some people it works, so I guess it's fine.
What would be your ultimate closing message to everyone?
I think I would really like to say that, art and design is a form of expression. And even for all the future designers, I would say, believe in your expression and be patient. It's gonna work out. Sometimes we come under the pressure and we're like, okay, no, let me design something that people will like. But that's not how you're gonna put out your style or build your brand. So believe in your expression and stick to it is what I would suggest.
We saw you grow and excelling in your face, so yeah. And thank you again, Pavit, for being on the podcast today. Thank you for sticking with us today. It was an amazing session about design, color, stones, and so many other parameters. We would be back soon with another episode. Till then, you can leave your comments below. Let us know what you would like to listen in the next episode, and stay tuned to the Jewellery Pod on all of our other social channels. Thank you.